Okay, so switching gears, this next group of people and workflows I want to focus on is really important. Want to know why? Potholes. So many potholes. I don't care where you live, across the US and beyond, potholes are an issue. Although I do have to say, coming from Minnesota, living there in the winter isn't as bad because with all the snow and ice we get, it just fills the potholes right in. We have actually a smoother drive in the wintertime. Do you believe me? Do you want to come and visit me in Minnesota in January? No? Okay. Moving on. Potholes, street infrastructure. What are some of the high-level initiatives that we're working on there? Safe, well-run, resilient, with population growing and evolving. How can we help support our street infrastructure? Because it's vital no matter which community you live in. And public works department in those communities are usually the staff who are in charge of taking those pavement condition reports, providing them to their supervisor, and getting work done. When we talk about amplifying GIS for public works, we're really focusing on 3 main categories of users today, starting with the field crews. If you're going to be repairing roads, means you're not in the office, you're going to be out in the field. So the work that the field crews do is vital, and there are better ways that we can support them. Similar to the supervisor. So think for a second, if you have field crews doing work, filling out paper, manual process for providing pavement condition reports, and all those paper forms have to go back to the supervisor, that takes a lot of time, and that makes their job even more difficult to glean information and find outliers and patterns and make better decisions as a supervisor. So we know we can help them better. Lastly, I want to highlight the GIS manager, GIS specialist, GIS technician. Our GIS staff have a vital role to play in these workflows to support and provide tools to be used by other people in this workflow. So when we're talking about pavement condition and tracking information, Nicole, let's talk about and show them some ways that we can collect pavement condition in the field.
Right, because the field crews aren't just driving around all day looking for potholes and broken bike racks. They need a proactive way to receive information about issues in their community. One option that you can consider is called the Waze Connected Citizens Program. So through this program, your community, city, county, forms a partnership with Waze, and I've even seen this at the state level at a state DOT department, and it's an exchange of information. So citizens can report the problems that they're seeing to Waze, and then this data can be used in a dashboard like this one. So as I zoom in, I'm seeing everything that people have reported on their apps while they're out and about. And I can see, looking at these various widgets, what ongoing traffic jams and road closures are happening in my area. And the partnership is twofold, because the cities can also tell Waze in advance of large construction projects where there's going to be road closures, and then Waze can update their maps as well. Now, many cities have a 311 system in place, and that could be in conjunction with the Connected Citizens Program or standalone. However, if you don't have a 311 system and you would like one, you might consider using Esri's Citizen Problem Reporter app. You see that it's optimized for a mobile device, but I'm going to show it to you in my browser. And this would be a way for me as a citizen to report an issue that I'm seeing while I'm out conducting my daily life. So for example, a road problem, perhaps, that I might want to submit would be a damaged bike path. And I could add a photo from my device and submit it. And then this Citizen Problem Reporter app also has an internal application. So those folks in the GIS office, they'll be seeing the data come in from the public, and then they can use this data in other ways across their city. So it's wonderful to think that our citizens can help us out as we're trying to keep these communities safe and livable, but relying on citizens to report problems as your sole method of knowing where issues exist is probably not the best way to do that. We need to forecast 3 to 6 months out and understand where problems could occur in the future. We need to allocate funding for capital projects. We have to have an understanding of not only issues today, but where issues will be in the future. And one way to do this is GeoAI.
Exactly. And if you remember back to the Johns Creek, Georgia video, something that the data manager mentioned that sticks in my head is we could go out and pave every single road and it will cost $1 billion, right? Do you remember that? Or we can leverage the capabilities and the technology to be laser focused and make better decisions on what repairs are needed and where. So when we're talking about GeoAI, geo-artificial intelligence, what does that look like? How about a garbage truck? Think what we can do with a vehicle that's already in your fleet, such as a garbage truck, when you can affix a GoPro or similar camera or video to that vehicle, so that when that vehicle is taking its normal route around the city or community, it's collecting images. It's collecting images or video, in this case of pavement condition. What GeoAI and machine learning, or ML, can do then is take those images, compare them with known defects in pavement condition, and tag them accordingly. Do they have a defect, yes or no? What's the severity of said defect? And so it's a process, and it can automatically and efficiently go through that process for all of your images. Now, what does that look like when we have it summarized? Another dashboard. Dashboards are huge. You've seen quite a few of them as examples already today. And there's a reason for that, because this is such an easy and compelling way to provide information to more people at your organization. By leveraging GeoAI and machine learning tools, you can collect really important information, add it to a dashboard, and what do you think? This is probably a more proactive way to approach road repairs and decisions based on that information, correct? So while leveraging public input, that's important. It can't be the entire workflow. Having your field crews and other staff out and collecting information, that's important too, but it's not the entire part of the workflow. By leveraging technology further, can be a huge part of being proactive in managing that information. So we have looked at different ways already of how we can collect information about where work needs to be done. But let's talk about the workflow with communicating between the supervisor and field crews.
Right. I think in a lot of circumstances, it may look like a morning stand-up meeting where everyone gets in a circle and the public works manager says, field crew A, you go here, field crew B, you go here, etc. So we want to suggest another option, and that is using Workforce. This is an application that is web-based, and I'm looking at the dispatcher view of it. So here on the screen, I'm seeing a map, and as I zoom in, you'll see more and more distinct points render. And these points represent assignments in my backlog. So green points can represent an assignment that's already been completed, and I'll see the details of who completed it, as well as if there are any attachments from that work. And in this queue, I'm seeing the name of what was reported, so in this case, a large pothole, and the priority that it is addressed. So I want to create a new assignment, and I need a pavement condition index survey to be performed. And I think it's going to be, at this intersection. But of course, I would like Sarah to do it. She's only 1,000 miles away, so I think it's possible, especially because it is a critical priority due today by, is 6 p.m. enough time?
Sure.
Okay, great. So I might consider tying in an ID from a business system or another record system. And if I happen to have a picture of it from my citizen problem reporter, I could add that here so she knows exactly which pothole to go to. Now, I'll create that assignment, and Sarah has a mobile device that's going to receive it in the field worker view of it.
So what you'll see here is Workforce app on my device. It's going to look very similar to what Nicole was just showing you, but the point is I'm not in the office. I am working from a device and I'm in the field, and she just assigned me more work to do. She does that a lot. I don't know how I'm going to get to Raleigh from Redlands. I guess I'll figure that out later. So I have multiple options here for assignments. I can simply tap on one to get more information. I can acknowledge that I've received this assignment as well as start the work. So as I'm tapping and interacting with this assignment, it's updating information back in the office for Nicole or the person managing the work so they understand the progress. Are people started? Have they not started? Have they completed? Etc. Oh, and it looks like I did just receive a critical
Yeah, don't forget that one.
a critical assignment from Nicole. I'm going to acknowledge receipt of that and start to work. When I choose to start, I do have a couple options, such as navigating to the assignment. Now, I know I have to get all the way to Raleigh, but I think I actually know how to get there. So I don't need to navigate, but I know I need to take a survey at the assignment. So because ArcGIS Workforce and Survey123 are part of the ArcGIS platform, we can easily connect those apps together so that even though I started in Workforce, it's bringing me automatically to Survey123. So it's a really easy workflow. While I'm here, I'm going to scroll through this survey. If you can imagine, this used to be a paper-based workflow. There's a wealth of information here that would take a very long time if I had to finger type, even if I had a little keyboard attached to put in all of this information. So it's much easier now that it's digital. You may not be able to see in the back of the room, but as I'm interacting with this survey and adding in some of the severity levels for the pavement condition that I'm seeing, in the lower left-hand side, there's a PCI score, or Pavement Condition Index score. And as I'm making changes to the severity level, that PCI score is automatically updated for me, which is really helpful. It's not something that the field crew would have to calculate on their own. I'd like to point your attention to, I can take photos in the field again. You've seen this example before. And what I'd like to highlight here is in this image, similar to the last photo I showed, it's automatically including the date and timestamp, which is a huge time saver when you're managing this information. It's also embedded the PCI score. So it's simple and effective. This image will be joined with the location of this PCI report. And I'm done already. I'm going to send this back to Nicole.
So once I have an understanding of all the work that needs to be done, and I have an understanding of who my field crews are that can be assigned to do it, maybe I would like to optimize the way that I am routing these different teams to all of these locations. So I'm here in the traditional map viewer in ArcGIS Online, and I have all of the pothole reports for Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm glad to see this is not a northern versus southern issue. It's ubiquitous. And there are quite a lot of issues to be taken care of. So I'd like to show you how you can use one of the many built-in analysis tools to plan routes for your teams. So in this case, there are, I'd like my teams to drive, please, not walk. And I'd like them all to start at the Public Works headquarters and also return there at the end of the day to clock out. I have 5 teams, and if they could make no more than 100 stops, surely that's doable in 8 hours or under, especially if they only spend 10 minutes at each stop. Right? This is feasible, I think. So I could run this analysis, and by previewing the credits, I see that it's about 50 cents worth of credits. And I think this is something worth budgeting in. Even if you plan your routes daily or weekly, your field crews can be more optimally dispatched, and they can hit up these areas in a more efficient way and therefore get more work done in one day and probably offset that cost. So let's take a look at the result of running that tool. One thing are the stops. So I see these little bubbles. Each dot represents a stop, and the different colors represent the 5 different teams that should be assigned to them. So it does look like there are a variety of points we won't be able to hit on our day 1 of work. That's okay. Looking here at the green points, I see I get an idea, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the recommended path, but turning on my actual route layer, I can then see more clearly exactly where my team should be driving and what turns they should be making to hit as many potholes in one day and fix as many as they can. Now, with this routes layer, I can then export it to my field crews, and they can use it in another one of our mobile apps.
Excellent. So once the planning work for the field crew routes have been completed by office staff, in this case Nicole, it can be shared then through Navigator app on my device. So if I'm out in the field and she's giving me a long list of, I don't know how many stops you're having me do this time, it's great and easy for me that I can choose either a predefined route as provided or a different route that I have saved to my device. So in this case, you're seeing quite a few stops. This would be really difficult for me to navigate on my own, even if I knew the area well, right? In this case, I can bring up these routes. I know that they're optimized, and all I have to do is listen to the directions.
Starting navigation.
So it's a really simple way, starting from desktop or ArcGIS Online, to better optimize your field crews and the work that needs to be done.
Now, back in the office, you know your field crews are hard at work, and again, a common theme today is that supervisors need situational awareness. It doesn't matter what type of industry you work in, a high-level awareness of your ongoing day-to-day work is really important, especially when you have folks in the field. And being able to use something like the Navigator app in a disconnected environment, that's really key to those users who maybe don't have the best connectivity. So I would like to see exactly where my field worker locations are in a dashboard and just the data that's coming in as they're completing these pavement condition indexed surveys. I can see how many reports have been generated. I can get a high-level understanding of how many miles of road fall within these different categories of pavement condition, whether that's failed or poor or satisfactory. I have an idea of distinct street segments and what their rating was when they were surveyed. And finally, I can even whittle this dashboard down to a specific district. So not only the public works supervisor cares about this data, but the city manager might be getting questions from media. Why is this interchange project taking so long? Or why are the streets in my neighborhood so bad? The city alderman may be calling. So this dashboard is a one-stop shop for all different types of stakeholders to get authoritative data at a high level and answer those questions quickly.
And on a positive note, when you're sharing this information out to the public, such as aldermen, city council, etc., it's also showing the positive side of the progress that you're making. Have you fixed all of the potholes yet today? Probably not, but are you making progress? Yes. You can also highlight the future projects coming up so people understand you're making progress and what's coming down the line and when work might be completed in their area. So we just showed quite a few different workflows supporting public works and pavement condition. And what we wanted to highlight now is this slide, because what we highlighted, so many workflows, but it's part of a cycle. It doesn't stop with the field crews. It doesn't stop with the supervisors. It doesn't stop with public engagement. So when we look at an entire workflow, it's a cycle. So from planning to coordinating, you can leverage desktop, you can leverage ArcGIS Online like you saw Nicole do. For coordinating those efforts, you can utilize Workforce. When you're navigating, guess what? You can use Navigator. When you're collecting that information in the field, we have a wealth of applications available to do so. One I'd like to highlight that we didn't show, but it's new. It's Quick Capture, and it's meant to quickly capture information in the field, but more when you're working at speed in a moving vehicle, not driving, but when you're in a passenger seat and you need to big button, collect the locations of features that you're identifying as you're going down the road. So check out ArcGIS Quick Capture. It's a very helpful brand new field app.
And in fact, you'll be able to make your own Quick Capture project if you're staying this afternoon to go to the workshop. So you'll see a lot of, you might even see this slide again.
Moving on, with the field work, you saw Explorer app earlier, just for that understanding where you're located in relation to the other sites that you need to visit, such as when you saw the conservation easement monitoring. And lastly, speaking of monitoring, dashboards, right? Dashboards are such a helpful way to summarize the information, provide it internally into the public, etc. So when we talk about workflows and amplifying GIS to support those workflows, this is part of what we mean. You have so many resources available to take you from beginning to end to support the entire workflow. Now, just to highlight, these are some of the resources that we used today. With Public Works, and when we're going back to those high-level initiatives, what do we need from Public Works? Well, we need safety, we need safe roads, we need things to be well run, we need things to be resilient, the roads and infrastructure to be resilient as it's changing and evolving with population growth and more.